Hey you guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Carol's Daily Sauce. I may look a little bit different today because I'm actually filming on my computer. The reason I'm filming on my computer is because I would like to use a different app from iMovie. So I'm going ahead and going to film on my computer. Today what we're going to be doing is we are going to be discussing some current events, some crazy, wicked, and weird news. So thank you again for tuning in to Carol's Daily Sauce. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to click on the bell to be reminded of every video that I upload. And please share it out to your friends. Okay, so y'all, look, first of all, I'm real nosy, okay? That's what I'm going to tell you first and foremost. Real super duper nosy. So I like to, as y'all can see, I'm looking around for stuff. I got some glasses around here somewhere. I think I'm going to have to go and come back because I don't see them. And I'm going to have to use, hold on y'all, because I'm going to have to use, actually y'all going to go with me. I'm actually going to have to use my glasses when I, sorry guys, top of my head, and now I'm back. That wasn't so bad, was it? Okay, so got my glasses, got my back propped up real good. Cool. We cool beans. We are ready to go. We're ready to make it happen. So what I'm going to be doing is talking about a few things that are basically in the news and that are happening and that are crazy. Oh my God, you guys, when y'all hear some of this stuff, y'all gonna be like me, like, what in the world? Okay, so the first story that I'm going to start with today was a story of a man who resides in Florida. He resides in Florida. Babe, you can come in if you want. The title of the story is Florida Man Gets a DUI After Crashing a Lawnmower into a Police Car. So when I first seen that, I was like, okay, you know, I mean, people when they drink, under the influence and they get behind a vehicle, that can happen. Oh, wait till y'all hear this. So a man is facing charges after driving under the influence of alcohol or driving under the influence of something after he crashed his lawnmower into a police car this past Saturday. The Haines City Police Department said that 68-year-old G.W. Anderson, because I will not say his name, even though they put it in the news, I'm not going to say his name. So we're going to go with G.W. Anderson, crashed his lawnmower into a patrol vehicle while the officer was not in the police car. And thankfully so, because if the officer had been in the police car, there would have been greater and more severe charges. So thank God, that didn't happen. After the crash, the police officer, whatever he was doing, was probably getting a donut. He's probably doing something, getting a donut. You know how they always eating. So he could have been probably harassing somebody. He heard the crash. It got his attention. He walked back to the car, and that is when he noticed that the car had some minor damages. Anderson, G.W. Anderson, admitted to hitting the vehicle. Okay? But he said, but there's no damage. He said, I hit it, but there's no damage. So he confessed to the officer, also, I've been drinking and I'm drunk. Okay, Mr. G.W. Anderson. The officer went ahead and did field sobriety tests with Mr. Anderson. And like we already know, Mr. Anderson was unable to complete the field sobriety test. And he went from laughing at the fact that he was having a field sobriety test to becoming aggressive. And that's usually how it is when people are intoxicated. After Mr. Anderson was arrested and taken into custody, y'all know what? Today is not a good day for my seeing. So y'all just gonna have to see me in my real form. Y'all gonna have to see me with these glasses on, because unfortunately, I can't see. Can't even read my own handwriting. So after he was arrested and taken into custody, he accused the officer of poisoning him, and he requested to be taken to the hospital. Quite naturally, the police took him to the hospital, but prior to going to the hospital, they did find that his blood alcohol level registered 3 times the amount of the legal limit. Now, is that what he was talking about? Is that why he felt like he was poisoned, because he knew he was drunk? But in addition to him actually being intoxicated, under the influence, he also had cocaine in his system. Y'all remember I just said this is a 68-year-old man. Now, drug abuse doesn't have an age, but I would think at 68 years old that you would be past all that. I mean, thank God I've never had a drug problem. Thank you, Jesus. But I'm just saying, this little man was doing too much. He was doing too much. So Anderson insisted that the police officer had put the cocaine in his system, and he continued to shout profanities. He continued to shout racial slurs. He was charged with a DUI, refusing to submit to a DUI test after the police officer found that his license was suspended. This old man had a lot of stuff going on. They also found that he had prior suspensions on his license. He had prior DUI. He had 2 prior DUI convictions, and his license had been suspended, get this y'all, since 1978. The police chief made he made light of this. He did. He had to make light of this, because I'm sure he was like, I cannot believe that this old man is doing this. So the police chief was like, I thank my officers. I thank them that even though they were accused of any type of wrongdoings, even though they were accused of that, they still were able to keep calm in situations such as this. He mentioned how he was proud of the officers, how even when dealing with people that are heavily intoxicated and belligerent offenders, he said they handled it in a way that made him proud to be the chief. He also mentioned that it is never a good idea to get behind the wheel drunk, ever, even if the wheel is a Craftsman or a John Deere. So he had to throw some comedy in there. Just want to tell y'all, Mr. Anderson remains incarcerated in the Polk County jail in lieu of a bail of $3,000. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I don't understand people. I was actually talking about talking today to my husband about some people in my family who had some rather questionable arrest, I guess you should say. Anyway, this story right here is very, very sad to me. This one is, actually all of these are sad, but all of them that I'm sharing today are very, very sad. I looked and I really couldn't find a lot of really, really good stuff. But this one, when I tell you, this gripped my heart, and it's still dealing with me. However, before I got on the computer, I did find that there is an update. So I'm going to put update here so that I can tell you guys about the update, because otherwise I will forget. There has been an update. So this particular story happened in Chicago. Police arrested three people in the case of a slain woman whose baby is on life support after being cut from her womb. There was a 19-year-old woman who has a 3-year-old son. She was married, and she was expecting another child. Yep, 19 years old, a 3-year-old son, and she was expecting another child. What happened was, some kind of way, Marlene hooked up, I believe through Facebook, through social media, with a lady who had reached out to her. And what the lady did is she told her, I have secondhand clothing and I also have baby clothes. If you're interested in it, you can meet me at this house, and once you meet me at the house, I'll give it to you, and I guess you can go about your way. Police believe that she was somehow lured, as I said, with the clothing and the stroller, to come to the lady's house and to receive the secondhand gifts. She went to the house, and once she was in the house, unfortunately, she was strangled to death. And the three men that have been arrested in this case, in connection with the case, actually them, as well as some other counterparts, somehow cut the baby out of her womb, literally strangled her, and then cut the baby out of her womb. The way that they found the baby is this 46-year-old goat. Excuse me, y'all. This 46-year-old woman. I called her a goat because it has to be somebody that's not even of humanity to do something so ruthless, so hateful, so heartless. The 46-year-old woman called the police, told the police officers called 911 and told 911 that she had just given birth to a baby. I'm assuming that 911 authorities came and they found the baby. I want you guys to know this little baby is still living. He is fighting for his life. He is in grave condition. So he is fighting for his little life. Okay. The 46-year-old woman called 911 claiming that she had just given birth to the baby. Y'all, I do this every time I get on a video. My necklace gets crossed. She had just given birth to the baby. And that she needed help, obviously. So they came and they got her. And once they got her, they checked the DNA on the baby. Now, they found that the DNA didn't match her. Okay? Now, the crazy thing about it is this. Anybody with a piece of a brain, just a piece of a brain, should know that the hospital can definitely check to see whether a woman has just given birth. Number one, having had 3 children, if a woman has just given birth, the woman is going to be bleeding. Okay? She's going to have what is called colostrum. Colostrum is, I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry. Colostrum is what comes out of the breast. I'm sorry. She's going to have, you know what? I don't want to look like no fool, so hold on, y'all. She's going to have I'm looking down, but I'm going to continue talking. She is going to have what is going to be, she's going to have, I don't want to say discharge, but she's going to have things that come from her womb. She's going to have the residue. There we go. The residue from her womb from having delivered a baby. From having delivered a baby as well as afterbirth. So it's going to be blood and all kinds of other things that are connected with childbirth. Correction, colostrum is the first form of milk in a woman's breast. So I apologize. Okay. I do have a medical background, so I don't want to say something and be wrong. You see, I caught myself real quick. And what colostrum is, this is not a breast feeding class, but I just want to clear myself. I don't want no hate. I'll probably get it anyway. Bring it. I don't care. Bring it. I'm not even worried about that. Colostrum is the first form of milk that forms in a woman's breast after she has a baby. And what colostrum contains is antibodies to protect the newborn against disease. That's why every woman is supposed to breastfeed. All that canned milk and stuff. Now, granted, some women don't produce enough milk for their children. Some babies is greedy, so some women don't produce enough. I gotta get my inhale. There we go. Some women don't produce enough milk to be able to keep up, so they have to use formula. But we want to make sure that if we are expecting babies, that we are at least giving our babies the first part of milk form when they first get here. For breastfeeding, when their breasts fill up after they deliver a baby, we want to make sure that they are breastfeeding the baby so the baby can get those antibodies to fight off disease. I had to say that, had to clear it up, because I don't want y'all thinking that I don't know what I'm talking about. Because the one thing I do when I come on here is I try to know what I'm talking about. So back to this 19-year-old who was pregnant, 9 months pregnant at that. She was a mother of a 3-year-old. She was married and she was expecting. She was lured into a house, to someone's house via social media by saying that they had some secondhand gifts to give her. I don't know the timeline in which it happened, but the stories on the internet indicate that more than this 46-year-old woman was involved. The 46-year-old woman was the one who called the police indicating that she had just delivered a baby. But like I said, you have to know that they can run tests and find out whether or not the blood matches, the DNA matches with the baby, whether or not you're having a type of discharge after you have a baby. I mean, you have to know that. You've got to be downright clueless to not know that. But anyway, the little baby boy is fighting for his life. As I said before, he's in grave condition. His mother has passed away. Sadly, she was thrown in a trash can. The mother, when they killed her, they threw her in a trash can. This is the most sad story that I have read. This is one of the most sad stories I've read, because I do have another one that is also very sad and disturbing. In addition to this story with the 46-year-old woman claiming to have had the baby, her neighbors said that she didn't even look pregnant. She didn't even appear to be pregnant. My husband was like, well, how do they know whether or not she's pregnant? Most of the time when you are 9 months pregnant or about to deliver, people can tell. Now, if you are a little bit thicker, a little bit bigger than what most people look, you might be able to get away with it. But people normally your neighbors know that you're pregnant. So the update on this story I did read is that the 46-year-old woman and her daughter have been charged in the death of this 19-year-old woman. My prayer is that that baby lives. That's really my prayer, because it would be a sad thing for the father to have to lose his wife as well as his newborn baby. So my prayer is that he lives. I pray that God will just comfort the family of this family that lost this beautiful 19-year-old woman. Here is something that's sad as well, but not so sad in the sense of it's hurtful, but not like that story. This story actually happened in Philadelphia. The 5-year-old little boy brings crack cocaine to preschool. Philadelphia police are investigating after a 5-year-old little boy bought 24 vials of crack cocaine into a preschool. Wait till y'all hear this one though. At a Roman Catholic church. So he was going to a private school and brung 24 vials of crack cocaine. The little boy, 5 years old, 5, he told his teacher's aide that the person who handed him the bag told him to hide it. The teacher's aide took the bag from the little boy because she suspected that it held drugs and informed an administrator, and the administrator then called 911. Now, my question to you would be this. How did the teacher's aide know that the bag contained drugs? I do not like the fact that it looked like I don't have no neck. I do have a neck. So that's why I keep pushing this computer back. You guys, it's been rainy here for the last couple of days. So I have just been really vegging out and looking real yucky. But I take showers every day. 2 and 3 times a day sometimes. But anyway, this little 5-year-old little boy handed it to the teacher's aide. The administrator called 911. And it is said that no other children came in contact with the drugs and no one was harmed. Thanks the Lord for that. Gosh, you guys, I am just horrible at setting up my computer. There we go. Okay. So, sadly, no arrests have been made in this. I'm gonna glare. No arrests have been made in this. And so I always got a question. Always. So this is my question. What if they come back looking for that little 5-year-old little boy, asking him what happened to their bag? But clearly, they don't care. The person who gave him the bag, because if they did, they wouldn't have never gave it to no 5-year-old child in the first place. Where did the person who gave the bag to the child go? How were they able to give the bag to the child? When did they give the bag to the child? Why is a 5-year-old child walking around where some drug dealer can give him a bag full of drugs? But not only that, at a Roman Catholic private school. So my question is this. Did the person who gave him the bag, is a person someone that works at the Roman Catholic school? Is it a teacher? Is it a teacher's aide? Is it an older student? Y'all, something don't sound right. Something don't sound right about that story. But supposedly they said nobody was hurt. And I'm just going to pray about that situation too, that everybody is fine. Oh, Lord, y'all, these news stories be driving me bananas. They drive me bananas. Look at this one right here. A woman in Western New York ate a bagel with poppy seeds for breakfast. She was expecting a child. And the day that she actually had, I believe she said she had a bagel, fruit, and some yogurt for breakfast. About an hour or two after eating that, she went into labor. Once she was at the hospital, she was asked to take a urine test, which is standard, and she tested positive for opiates, okay? Now, I don't know if you guys know it or not. Poppy seeds, she obviously ate a poppy seed bagel. Poppy seeds come from the opium plant. And the opium plant that releases a poppy seed could contain residue of either morphine or codeine. Okay? We know that morphine and codeine are 2 opiates. The opiates are a huge problem all across the country, all across the world. They are literally trying to stop prescribing people opiates like morphine and codeine because people are dying every day as a result of it. Long story short, she tested positive for opiates. So there was a lady who obviously is a scientist. She said anywhere from 1 to 3 bagels with poppy seeds could produce positive results for opiates in a urine toxicology. Well, what happened to this beautiful lady? After giving birth to her baby boy, she was interviewed by Child Protective Services, which is protocol. Because I don't know if you guys know it or not. If a child comes to the hospital with too many bruises, if a child comes to the hospital with a bruise that looks to be questionable, CPS is always called. If a child comes having ingested poison, CPS is always called. Child Protective Services is always called. Doctors, nurses, and anybody that works in the hospital are mandated. They're mandated to do that. So it's protocol that CPS would come and question this lady. But the questions that they were asking her were suggesting that if they took her children away, where and whom would she would like them to stay with? And she was looking like, what? Why are you saying that you're going to take my child? She said, I'm not addicted to any types of drugs. I may have tested positive for opiates. So she called her husband and all upset. And her husband was like, what did you eat for breakfast? And sure enough, he said, you got it from the poppy seed. So long story short, the newborn baby was tested. He didn't have any types of drugs in his system. However, she was sent home and her baby had to stay in the hospital for 24 hours for monitoring. She later received a note or a letter in the mail indicating that it was thought that she tested positive, or she received a false positive result on her urine toxicology test as a result of consuming poppy seeds off of her poppy seed bagel. All I got to say is this: be careful, y'all. Be careful, because they will get you and try to take your children. And yeah, nobody wants to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and put some light on this situation, because this last story, or second to the last story that I'm going to talk about, is really, really, really heart-wrenching. Okay, so how many of you guys know Safari off of Love and Hip Hop? Now, I don't watch Love and Hip Hop. I remember Safari from when he used to date, I believe, Nicki Minaj, right? Wasn't it Nicki Minaj that he used to date? Yeah, Nicki Minaj came before Cardi B. Yeah, so I believe he used to date Nicki Minaj. Safari found out that they were having a he actually found out they were having a pro fur rally. Now, you know, people who are vegans, I can't say vegetarians because vegetarians such as myself eat eggs. So, but you know, a vegan is somebody who does not eat meat products. Vegans also normally don't wear leather. They don't wear furs. They don't do anything that causes any type of danger to animals, animal cruelty. I am the same way in the sense of lashes and stuff like that. I don't even like to talk about how they kill animals for us to be able to eat them. I am a pescatarian. I eat seafood sometimes. Excuse me. However, I have found that when a fish or a shrimp comes out of water, literally their little brains explode because they really live underwater. So I don't even like to talk about that. Anyway, we're going to go back to Safari, who joined a controversial pro-fur rally. And Safari has always been to say belligerent, but he's always been outspoken in everything he's done. Everything. I mean, I think he was. He was Nicki Minaj's hype man. That's what I think it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he was her hype man. Anyway, long story short, he has made a name for himself. He is doing well on Love and Hip Hop. So he went to this pro fur rally, and you know, when you have pro anything, you're going to have the cons. So all these people were out there and they were like chanting, you know, save the animals and don't kill animals for you greedy people to have furs. Do you know what he told the supporters? He told the supporters, don't worry about my furs that I'm wearing. Don't worry about these furs. What y'all need to be worrying about is all the black men that are being killed. Y'all need to worry about all the black men that are being killed due to police brutality. Oh, y'all know he was wrong for that. He was wrong, but he was right. They so worried about animals, dogs, cats, and stuff being killed, but yet and still they're killing our men. Y'all, that's sad. That's sad. So you know what? I stand in agreement with Safari on what he said about the black man, because I pray for our black men every single day, because they are becoming a lost commodity. They really, really are. And we need them. We need them to survive. We really, really do. So you guys, this story right here, let me go ahead and put my glasses on because I'm going to have to look at my computer. Not my computer, but my phone, because I have to do this this little timeline also. And this is probably going to be the most talked about part of this video, because this is so very sad. Okay, this situation right here, y'all, is sad. Okay, this is a case of Maleah Davis. I want somebody to tell me where this baby is. They need to tell me where Maleah Davis is. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what I know of this story. Now, it's sad, you guys. Maleah Davis is a 4-year-old, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful little young girl who went missing. Today is the 15th. She went missing almost 2 weeks ago. She went missing, I believe, on the 4th or the 5th of May. So basically almost a week ago. A 4-year-old girl who went missing over a week ago, and she has yet to be found. First of all, I'd like to talk about the background of her parents, okay? I am not talking about her father. I'm not talking about Maleah Davis's father. I'm talking about, when I say her parents, I'm talking about Maleah Davis's mother and her mother's fiance, or used to be fiance. Y'all, it's a whole bunch of mess in the story. Okay. Supposedly, Maleah Davis's mother was engaged to a young man by the name of Darian Vince. Okay. Supposedly they broke up. And when they broke up, they still stayed in the same house together. That happens. That happens. But I don't see you going out of town and leaving your child, who he ain't the father of, with him. Okay, so there are reports online that Maleah Davis's parents have been physically abusive to their children. As a result of the physical abuse that these children sustained, CPS had to remove the children from the household, but they returned the children back into the custody of Maleah Davis's mother. Now, when my husband and I were talking, my husband was like, why do they do that? You know what, you guys? What we have to understand is whether or not we feel like a child should go back into the custody of their parents, a judge, CPS, any of those type of authorities will always, 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 always work to put the child back in the hands of their parents. A lot of times, what the parents have to do is they have to go through parenting classes, they have to go through anger management classes, they have to go through, what is that called? Trying to get my, there we go. They have to go through psychology classes, psychological appointments, and things of that nature. And then once they're found to be okay, once they're found to be okay as far as mentally okay, and then they're found to be able to provide a household that is presentable and acceptable to the courts, 99% of the time, the children are returned back to their parents. Okay. With that being said, Maleah Davis, the beautiful little 4-year-old, is said to have recently had brain surgery. And this brain surgery was said to be had as a result of the beatings. She is said to be very ill and in need of medication daily. Now, to me, it sounds like this poor little baby, and I'm calling her a baby, even though she's 4 years old, she's still a baby. It sounds like if she had to have, like I told y'all, I got a medical background. It sounds like if she had to have brain surgery, that she had some sort of head injury, and the fact that she has to take medication daily indicates to me, or could be, that she has seizures. I pray to God she doesn't. But a lot of times when you have brain injuries, that comes on as a result of this. So let's go ahead and get into this. Let's go ahead and get into the story. And this is sad. So supposedly, while on the way to get Maleah's mother from the airport, Darion Vince, who is Maleah's mother's fiance, or used to be fiance. It just depends on what site you go on and read the information. He went to the airport. He was on his way to the airport to get her. Supposedly, and I'm looking at my phone, on April the 30th, Maleah's mother was said to have left out of state for a funeral. Okay. That was on April the 30th. On April the 30th at 7:45, surveillance video shows Maleah and her stepfather, Darion Vince, walking through the yard where the Houston complex is, where, you know, they stayed at, where they lived at. And the person who reported this information said this was the last time that they seen Maleah, okay, before she went missing. That was at 7:45 on April the 30th. Okay. Around 8:50 a.m. on April the 30th, a neighbor was said to have seen Vince, who is Darion Vince, remember the mother's fiance, walk into the car alone. So less than an hour later, he was leaving the complex. Then a neighbor seen him walk into his car alone an hour later. Okay? Where's Maleah? Where is Maleah Davis? Where is she? Okay, so on I'm trying to get you guys to understand the timeline, okay? So on May the 3rd, at around 1:40, a surveillance video shows that Vince was leaving the family's apartment with a laundry basket, and he had a large trash bag inside of it. That was on May the 3rd at 1 o'clock, 1:40 p.m. So by 7 o'clock that night, Vince and a child were seen in a surveillance video leaving the family's apartment, according to the source, okay? The source said that the child seen in the photo is not Maleah, and that Vince appears to be carrying a bottle of bleach. Now, at 1:40, you was leaving, and you had a laundry basket with a trash bag in it, okay? 5 hours later, you were seen with a child who was not Maleah, and you had bleach. Now, at 6:47 on May the 3rd, this is when Vince said that he was going to pick up Maleah's mother from the airport, okay? So what ended up happening is that, according to Darian Vince, Maleah's mother's fiance, while on the way to get Maleah's mother from the airport, supposedly he heard a thump in the back of the car, a clunk in the back of his tire while he was on the way to the airport to get her mother. He said he pulled over on the side of the road, you know what, I say freeway because I'm from California. Y'all might say highway, you might say expressway, but I say freeway because I'm from California, and we have freeway, 4 or 5, and sometimes 6 lanes, depending on where you are. Okay, so he was going to get the mother on May the 3rd. At this time, Darian said that he pulled over, and when he pulled over, in the car was Maleah, the 4-year-old that is currently missing, and his 2-year-old son. At the time that they pulled over and he was going to go check his car, there were 3 men in a blue pickup truck who also pulled over. At that time, Darian says that he remembers being attacked. He said that he was knocked in his head and went unconscious. Okay? Supposedly, he went unconscious on May the 3rd, on his way to go get her mother at about 7ish, 7:30, somewhere around there. Okay. When he went unconscious, Maleah was supposedly with him, and so was the 2-year-old son. Now, the 2-year-old son is the son that Maleah's mother and him share together. Maleah has a different father and another brother who was said to be with Maleah's natural father. Okay, so Darian said that he regained consciousness 24 hours later. So literally, you guys, what he's saying is that he was knocked in his head, and when he was knocked in his head, on May the 3rd in the evening, after being on the freeway, stopping to check his car, he got into a tussle supposedly with these 3 Mexican men. One of them hit him over the head, knocked him unconscious, and for 24 hours, his 2-year-old son sat in the car, I'm quite sure, hollering and screaming, because he had to be bleeding, because when you look at the pictures on the internet, you can see that there is some visual damage, like right here on his forehead. But in my opinion, it doesn't look like the type of damage that would knock anybody unconscious. However, I wasn't there, so I don't know. But He said, Darion said that when he woke up, his 2-year-old son was still with him, but Maleah was missing. Darion supposedly went to the hospital in Sugar Land for treatment. Okay? That was on May the 4th, 24 hours after he had pulled over on the side of the road on May the 3rd and found, on the 4th, he found Maleah was missing and that his son was still there, but he went to the hospital. And it said that the hospital was very close by, you guys. Now, he went to the hospital on May the 4th at 11:21 p.m. He supposedly was hit over the head by these 3 men, one of these 3 men or all of them, I don't know, at around 7:30ish, okay? 24 hours later would have been 7 p.m. at night on May the 4th, right? Because around the time that he was going to the airport was 7 p.m., 7:30, all right? He got knocked unconscious. 7:30 in the morning would have been 12 hours, and 7:30 at night would have been a full 24-hour day. He did not go to the hospital until May the 4th at 11:21 p.m. And then when he went to the hospital, he went to one that was far away. Mind you, his car was missing, so how did he get to the hospital? How you gonna be unconscious, knocked in your head with a 2-year-old? The reports don't say how he got to the hospital at all. But he found out when he woke up that the car was missing, that Maleah was missing. And it's really crazy because they indicated in the news reports that there was a medical clinic that was close by, very close by. I think someone said like up a corner's length or 2 corners length, there was a medical clinic. Okay, now a little history about Mr. Darion Vince. He used to be a mail carrier, and the route that he went on when he was working at a mail carrier from June of 2017 or July of 2017 to August of 2018, he had made a comment that where he went to go and deliver mail was a great place. If he ever killed anybody, it was a great place where he could hide the body. He had told somebody that. Now, why are you going to say something like that and now you're finding yourself in a lot of trouble? First of all, your stories don't match up. If the 3 Mexican men abducted Maleah Davis, why they leave your son? He got a whole bunch of time gaps in his story. So on May the 24th, on May the 4th, like I said, at 11 o'clock, that's when he actually reported Maleah as being missing when he got to the hospital. The next day, at 7:59, an Amber report was issued for Maleah Davis. On May the 9th, 4 days later, they did find the Nissan Altima. It was found by a taxi driver who found it in a parking lot at a shopping center. Vince, on May the 11th, was arrested and charged with tampering with evidence, and he is being held, or at that time on May the 11th, was being held with a $1 million bail because they said he was tampering with evidence. So on May the 13th, he was supposed to be in court. He didn't show up for court. I don't know why. I don't know how. But he didn't show up for court. Maleah's mother did show up for court that day. And people were chanting justice for Maleah, justice for Maleah. At that time, on May the 13th, the judge lowered Vince's bail from $1 million down to $45,000. So here we are now, 2 days later, after Vince was supposed to show up in court, and Vince is his last name. They've lowered the bail, and a lot of people have been doing visuals. They had a balloon release for Maleah Davis. A lot of people in groups were looking for her. Crime Stoppers has added an award up to $5,000 for information leading to her disappearance. And they've said that it may be increased in the future. My question is this. They suspended the search for this little girl. And the reason they suspended the search is because Texas has been having terrible weather. From what I can understand, there has been, depending on where you are in Texas, hurricane warnings. There has been a lot of rain. There's been a lot of flooding. And so they suspended the search, but they are also focusing more on the area in which Darion Vince worked in prior to him being a mail carrier, prior to him losing his job or quitting his job or whatever happened. But y'all, it's a whole bunch of stuff missing out of the story. A whole bunch, okay? It's a whole bunch missing. He got time gaps. He did have obvious wounds on his head. But the authorities, as well as a lot of people, are saying something is not adding up. Why is this man, why did they lower his bail? But I'm going to tell you something. And I know this because I got common sense and y'all do too. If they got you in jail on a $45,000 bail, they have to have reason to believe that there is some validity. Take off these glasses. I do got I got a glare. They have to believe that there is some validity to the charges that you're being charged with. You know what I'm saying? Y'all, I just don't know. I think this is so crazy. This is the saddest thing in the world. So you have a 4-year-old little girl who already experienced beatings, who had to end up having brain surgery, who is in need of medication. And I'm going to tell you guys honestly and truly what they're saying. A lot of the authorities are believing that she is no longer alive. You guys, let's pray that they find Maleah somewhere and that they find her alive. Because I'm telling y'all, when I read that story, I have grandchildren who just moved to Houston, Texas. But let me tell you something about my daughter and my daughter's husband. Honey boom. They don't let nobody watch their children. The way they work is Mama Bear works. I call her Mama Bear. Mama Bear works. Daddy Bear works. And they are the only ones who babysit their children. The one thing that I have to tell you guys is I am an advocate for children. I only ended up having 3 children. I was only pregnant 3 times. All of my pregnancies were successful, healthy pregnancies. But I am a child advocate. I have been an advocate for children my entire life. I don't believe in abuse. I don't believe in verbal abuse. I don't believe in physical abuse. I don't believe in the abuse of children. And if in fact Darion Vince had anything to do with the disappearance of Maleah Davis. I hope they throw it at him like they have never thrown it at anybody before, because I could only imagine. Okay, y'all, I'm going to let my computer sit up on its own real quick while I do this. I can only imagine how a mother must feel having went out of town and come home and your child is missing. Now, there are news reports. There are reports all over Twitter. There are reports all in the news that she had something to do with it, that she's fake tears and that she's this and she's that. Let me tell you, I don't know, because I wasn't there. All I know, based on the reports, is that a baby girl is missing. The story ain't adding up. And the one thing that I do know is that the authorities will find out what happened to that baby girl. I pray that it happens very, very soon. Well, you guys, that's been it for my little update on some really, really ironic news, some really weird news, and definitely some sad news. I am praying for the family of Maleah Davis, praying for her safe return. I'm also praying for Maleah, I forgot her last name. Maleah, the mother of the baby that is struggling to fighting for his life. I'm praying for her husband. I'm praying for their family, and I'm also praying that the baby comes through with flying colors, because the thing about it is these babies didn't ask to be here. Okay, they didn't ask to be here, and for them to be in these grave situations as that newborn baby struggling for his life, and then Maleah Davis, for us not to know where she is, and her brothers to have that loss is just unbearable. It really, really is. Well, God bless you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to Carol's Daily Sauce. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to click on the bell to be reminded of all the videos I upload. This one was very, very long. It's almost an hour video, but I had to get it out. I had to get it out. I'll be posting this one. Today is Thursday, May the 16th, and I will be posting this tonight because I have something else that I was gonna post, but I'd rather post this just to get this out, and I'll follow up with the other my favorite things, a Ross, Dollar Tree, and Amazon haul on Friday. You guys have a blessed day. I'll talk to you all real soon. Thank you so much for tuning in.